Everyone, Neha here. I'm going to go over the housekeeping rules first, and then we can start the workshop that we have been waiting for. And I've been getting Ambika to try and do this for so long. So, firstly, please keep yourselves on mute. You don't have to keep your videos on, it's completely optional. But do note that this call is being recorded. It will be uploaded on YouTube. So, if you're uncomfortable with that, just keep that in mind. As a request, because we keep very strict time if you attended our other workshops, please don't ask questions till the end. You can put it on the chat, so I'll moderate the chat while Ambika is speaking, but I will give ample opportunity at the end of the talk, at the 45-minute mark, to ask your questions. Try and use the emojis at the Google Meet call. At the bottom, you'll see, use a thumbs up if you agree, if you don't disagree, if you love it. Do share all of that. It makes it much nicer to get feedback for the speakers so they know they're going in the right direction. Yes, all the waves, yay! Thank you. That's right. That's the one. So do use those. It's very nice, and it's a nice way for the speaker to interact, especially because we're on virtual calls and we don't have eye contact like we would in a real life situation. As I mentioned, this call is being recorded and it will be put up on YouTube after, in case you miss parts of it or if you want to join in later. I'll also share any presentations or materials that Ambika talks about and wants to share later on. And I think a lot of you, when you signed up, said you were not part of AI Enthusiast Circle. If you would like to be, I will put it up in our chat, the sign up form. And yeah, any other questions? I'm the moderator here. You can just ping me on the chat. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to do a quick intro to what AI Enthusiast Circle is. It's an online community that's primarily for women who are interested in learning and growing about AI. Our focus is Gen AI, generative AI, but we do a lot of other conversations around AI, machine learning, etc. that's happening in the world. It's open to all kinds of women from all kinds of backgrounds. And by that, I mean, you don't have to be a technical person to be a part of the group. The idea is to spread the knowledge more, have a knowledge exchange, ask those questions that might feel silly and you don't know where to ask for help, all of those things. So it's an online community. If you are interested in joining, I will put up the sign up link, or check your inboxes in the next few days. I will send you a sign up link later. We do have a lot of workshops every month. We also host a lot of tools and everything in our community resource online portal, which gives you access to a lot more information once you're part of it. So, and we have multiple channels to talk to and have different conversations in. So yeah, if you guys are interested, you're more than welcome to join. So as part of what we do at AIEC, AI Enthusiast Circle, we try and have workshops which can help people upskill themselves in AI, in their workplace, etc. And this specific one is by Ambika, who likes to go by Computational Mama. I'm going to do a short intro to her before she takes on and gives her story and everything. I'm really excited that I met her. I met her actually in another AI community, and then she joined AIEC, which was really nice of her because she's brought so much energy and so much conversation into the group. She's a very active user, and I love that. That's what gets our community going. So I'm really excited that she is now going to be talking to us. So just to give you a little bit of background, she currently works as head of developer relations at Gooey.AI. And she has experience in Gen AI prompting. She specializes in large language models, LLMs, text and image prompting, and image diffusion all the way since 2019. She used to be a Twitch streamer and creative coding educator. Sorry, someone's pinging. Every time I get a little distracted because someone's trying to enter. Yeah, so she used to work as a Twitch streamer and creative coding educator, and that's what she's kind of bringing at Gooey.AI as well. So she does a lot of workshops, beginner workshops, coding workshops, focused on generative AI. She's also received the prestigious Processing Foundation Fellowship, which is curated at AI Design's AI Playground program. Wow, that was a little hard to say. And she's also been featured in Casey Ria's list of upcoming creative coding artists. I never thought there would be a time where we have creative coders. So I'm really excited that that exists, because I think coding is actually a very creative subject, and I love now that they're getting married a little more in the artistic way. I'm quite excited about that. Since 2020, she has been teaching the basics of creative coding, focusing on designers and makers, and through organizations and institutes to over 200 students and more. So hence I said I'm very excited about this particular talk. And she's done a lot more on Twitch streams as well. So since in the last 2 years, she's done over 40 workshops on stable diffusion. This one is, don't be nervous, Ambika. This is just like our us people. It's okay. You'll be fine. So yeah, she's done workshops on stable diffusion, chat GPT, and all the Gen AI tools. And I think we're going to be learning some pretty cool things. She gave me a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing, and it's so practical. I'm going to try and even see if we can do something in our AI community with it. So she's got a lot of online communities herself for coder and makers, and she's on Instagram and all these other platforms, sharing all this information. So I am going to pass it on to Ambika. Thank you so much for doing this for us, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I have no doubts about that. So
Thanks so much, and thanks everyone who's joined. This is I've been pestering. Actually, Neha is wrong. I've been the one pestering her that I want to do a workshop with you guys. So and I will forewarn you that none of my slides are going to look as wonderful as Divya's slides, because this topic is a bit more. I don't know. I think it is a kind of a bit more technical. But surely it will be an interesting one, and I hope you guys are able to like catch on with whatever we've been up to. It'll be a mix of just general information and a bit of a demo from what we've been doing at GUI. And if we don't have time today, but if you have more questions, please connect with me anytime. So I will now share my screen. I think you may have to. Right. Okay. Today I'm a bit better prepared with two monitors. Usually I just kind of like go sit in some corner and present. At least now I can see Neha's face. So we are looking at AI copilots with RAG. It's going to be a super simple run through of some of these terms that we've been hearing across the last year, particularly, and why RAG has become so popular over like training your own model. Some pieces are written in the slides. If you guys want access to the slides, you can also let me know. It's not really anything major in it, but yeah. So today's agenda is how LLMs and RAG works, what happens in the vectorDB, how does STT-TTS, which are speech to text and text to speech, work. These are important pieces for any AI copilot. In today's day and age, everybody wants bit of speech and text, and I think even on ChatGPT, we have those new voice assistants. So it's pretty common now. And how do we use all of this at Gooey.AI in our copilots? And in general sense, like why RAG through a GUI or a similar kind of a tool over just using plain old ChatGPT? So this question is more for people who are already exploring RAG, but I just thought that we lay it out a little bit. So I think we talk a lot about LLMs, but I think we'll just kind of give an overview of how it works. Maybe some people need a bit of that input. So it's like you put in a user query and you get a generated answer. Now, what this basically means is, oh, sorry, the D has gone down. This looks terrible, but okay, apologies for that. What it basically means is, in the like simplest parlance, you sat and you studied for an exam. You did all the chapters, and the teacher gave you the question. You had to think about the right things within that documents that you read through, and summarize an answer and give back the answer. And I think the best like negative example of this is when you didn't know the answer, but you still wrote some shit because you were, oh, sorry for the words, still wrote some nonsense in your paper, because you know, and everybody knows that you never should leave your answer sheet empty. And I think all of us have had a situation like this where we said something to chat gpt and it's given us a positively inaccurate answer, or just try to like answer for the sake of answering. And I think that that's like very akin to this idea of giving an exam, which particularly those what they call the subjective exams. All of us have been through Indian education system, hopefully, so you get that bit of joke. But what happened at some point the year before last is that someone suggested, I don't know who it was, I think I should research this a bit more, but what to bring in what is called retrieval augmented generation. So the generation part is still like generative AI, but you're augmenting it on top of search that's been retrieved. Now what that basically means is that there is a bunch of documents that are structured or unstructured. We go into that a little bit more. And when the query is asked, the queries first pass through this knowledge base, where it picks up a few relevant parts from this knowledge base, which is this green piece on the left. And then the LLM's only task is to summarize it. So now for you to get a better understanding, just think about this like an open book exam. So it's basically like the book is in front of you. The teacher said that you can keep the book with you when you're answering, which basically allows you to skim through material and ensure that you are able to get the most accurate answer. Now, obviously, the summarizing can be different for everybody. Somebody summarizes in X way, somebody summarizes in Y way, and that's what LLMs also do. OpenAI might give you a different kind of a summary versus Llama or an Anthropic, or your prompt could give you a different kind of summary anyway. So I feel like keeping this very simple anecdote in mind is very useful to kind of wrap your head around a lot of these new technologies that people are just throwing around these keywords quite a bit. But then what is this vector DB? Now, a vector database, I don't know, maybe some of you are from more technical backgrounds. Maybe you can give me an emoji if you guys are developers or working with NLP. Hello, Mira. Nice to see you here. Tulip. I don't know if I got anybody else's thumbs up, but okay. So NLP is basically natural language processing. What that means is basically like trying to understand natural language and figuring out ways for computers to understand it. Now, a basic example of this is like, say, word association. Now, if you see this table is not mine. This table shows you a bunch of words like bunny, rabbit, hamster, hutches. In a sense, these words are all kind of related in our mind as well. And then say if there was a table that kind of like has an X of like alive, mammal, rodents, bipedal, gender, plural. So uh, so a hutch is basically where a rabbit lives, so obviously it's not alive, so it's got a negative mark. Whereas for a bunny which is alive, or a rabbit which is alive, it's got a almost mark till 1. So imagine every single word or every string of sentences were given these kind of numbers that the computer could understand, which was then kind of reduced into like a dimensional chart, and then available to you as a visualization. So obviously a hutch is a little bit further away from this cluster of bunny and rabbit and hamster, and bunny and rabbit are very close, but the hamster is a little bit far away, but the hutch is like pretty far away. Of course these are biased themselves. I mean, I don't think today is the right day to talk about it, but this stuff does happen. Uh, but uh, but think about this in the same way as again with the example of the open book exam. So if you were asked the question relating to, I don't know, I'm really bad at science, but maybe I can try with history. Like, say somebody asked a question about Caesar, or okay, maybe that's okay, whatever. But yeah, Caesar, let's say. So you know that it's around this chapter, and then you know that if the question has something to do with Brutus, Caesar and Brutus are kind of close to each other, but they are not so close to, like, say, Gandhi or Modi, or like somebody from a different historical geographical kind of a situation. So that is basically the job of the vector DB. And I think AI tinkerers, if you are attending, Dhruv is like amazing at this as well, is to ensure like how to get the closest answer, which are in this cluster when your question is about a certain thing. So we'll get into a little bit more as we are progressing. So what this vector db is doing, it's taking all of your pdfs that have diagrams, it's taking your instructional videos, it's taking all of your documents, it's going to take all of your images, and it's going to give these kind of numbers to it, which are called embeddings. But it's not just enough to give you the numbers, you also need to somehow be able to retrieve it well. So which is what the vector db does. This is a vector embedding, and the vector, what the vector db does, it also indexes them, which means it kind of gives them these kind of numbers in a sense. So what happens is that, say if my question is about, okay, there's a black bug on my plant, it knows, okay, within the index I need to go to xyz places to find a little bit more detail about this, right? So it's basically, if even if it's an open book exam, that doesn't mean your answer is always going to be the best answer. There may be some people who've been thorough enough with that book to know where to retrieve that answer. So rag is all about that. It's about making sure your documentation can be clear enough for uh, the incoming query to be able to find the closest semantic similarity, right? So if it says black bug on plant, is definitely not a white bug, is definitely not a white fungus, and it's definitely not a it's, we are not talking about an animal, right? We're talking about an adjective about black. We are saying it's a bug and it's on a plant. So we have those kind of things coming together semantically. It's just like saying in a reverse, if one would have to think about it, like close your eyes, and like how when Divya's image workshop was going on, if you, like if you write a woman, it's going to give you some woman. But if you write a woman in Bombay in the middle of traffic inside a cab like Guncha is right now, it's going to give you a different semantic similarity. So that format kind of works the same way, right? And then, of course, very simply, what we already know, and I think all of us probably have Alexas and Siris and all in our phones, speech to text, which basically takes your speech and converts it to text, which goes into the LLM. And the LLM responds back like Alexa, where it kind of gives you back a machine generated audio. And this is also, as things will progress, you will see that these are also important pieces, because if it's not going to understand my Indian Hindi-ish accent, then obviously my question is going to come out wrong, and obviously the LLM is going to answer incorrectly. So it's not just about getting a question into the LLM, but it's all these little parts in the middle that build a good like AI tool for anybody to use at a larger scale. So I'll give you an example of how we are using this with one of our partners, Digital Green. Digital Green is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they work a lot with farmers and farmer agents. Basically, these people on ground who help farmers when they have queries. And these guys have like thousands of documents, like thousands of videos which they have. And they were at that point, there was still a debate between, oh, should we train our own LLM model versus like should we do this RAG piece. So we're like, hey, you have all these documents, give it to us, we'll try and see if RAG works for you. So what we did was we kind of transcribed their YouTube videos. We did an OCR of all of their PDFs, and all of their other kind of PPTs, their call center logs, all of that. And then we made a database, vector database out of that. So at the extension level, it's very likely that the farmer cannot is not literate. So it's possible that they may send a voice note, and I think all, at least in the Indian context, many people, even in the rural setup, are very comfortable with using WhatsApp and voice notes and all of that stuff. So look at the flow. First, you did the audio, speech to recognition, speech to text recognition. It went into the knowledge base. The knowledge base had all of this information which is coming in from Digital Green. And then it picked up a few documents which it felt were correct. So, like you can see, there are two thumbnails from here which are passed on, which are relating to this question, which is, I think, about whitefly infestation in Chile. And then we use OpenAI to generate the summary, GPT-4 at the time, which converts back to text to speech in Google, which goes back as a reply to the farmer on the chat, on their chat window. So it's like several kind of little pieces that are coming together to build this copilot. But actually, if you really look at it, this is another example with another company we're working with. But the layers which we usually don't see in typical documentation when we say we go to langchain or llama index or whatever, is that the copilot chain is really complex. Like you have to pick the right speech recognition tool, you have to pick the right translation tool, because sometimes some African languages are not well translated via Google, you need another kind of one. You have to ensure that the chat history is still around, so that you know that you're getting the relevant kind of question in place. Sorry if it's getting a bit too detailed, but because it's a short session, I'll have to kind of like punch you with a lot of information. And then from here, not only are we kind of keeping all of these documents, we are also like making a synthetic data set from this document. Now what this basically means very simply is that the question comes in as what, like something very simple, like we have a GUI support bot. Somebody said, I want to delete my data from your product, from GUI. And we had an FAQ where it said that please go to XYZ link to delete the data. But in that FAQ answer, we did not write, if you want to delete the data, please go to this link. So the LLM and the RAG were not able to catch this word delete, and they responded to the user by saying, sorry, we don't know what your question is all about. So then we had to make a synthetic data. Synthetic data basically means making a bit of your own data, which the LLM and the vector search are able to understand a little bit better, to ensure that your semantic similarity is coming in closer to what is needed. Because a tech document can be highly technical, but the end user may ask it in a very, very simple way. So how do you ensure that those chains are connected well? And that's what synthetic data does. So anyway, so then you come back to this kind of embedding model, and then from there it takes the best snippets out, it kind of ranks the snippets, and then we do a summary, we translate it back, we then do a text to speech back, and it goes back to reply to the user. Now again, the chain here is a little bit more complex, because sometimes if you do basic speech to text of Google and basic text to speech of Google, the accents also make a difference. So particularly in Africa, where people do speak English even at grassroots levels, the accents are so different that Google is not able to catch. And now Azure has become a little bit better at these. So we do a lot of work around looking at low resource language models and how we can help them as well. So, okay, now we'll do a bit of demos because this is getting a bit boring. So, I will now open this again. So, we'll do two pieces of it. One, I thought we'll look at why am I talking about Copilot so much in context of GUI, and why can't we just use ChatGPT, which also allows you to feed a bunch of documents and get an answer, right? So, the key focus for ChatGPT is that it's meant for an individual user, which means that you use it on your particular screens, whatever your phone or your computer. You get your answer, and you're good to go. It's a very like B2C kind of a model. But what happens if you got, say, 1,000 training documents for your like really large company? They cannot go to Chat GPT because they don't have they you are not allowed to make them public. And B, you want that information available to every user in your team. So that in that context, you end up needing your own like dedicated chatbot. So in a sense, many of these co-pilots that are out in the world, and the reason that OpenAI has so much around their APIs, running around their APIs, is because they know that there are, like at industry or business level, people need their own little co-pilots that help their business use case, and they have to be kind of subject ready, which RAG allows you to do. Right, so maybe let's pick, I don't know, I have to pick a document maybe from here. Are you okay if I use AC sheet or no? Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
said. Okay. So Neha manages this like wonderful set of many sheets which are about tools and courses around AI and things like that. So like if I put it in Chat GPT, which I think maybe, I don't know if links are allowed. Let me just download this and add it. Sorry guys, I should have downloaded this ahead of time. Um, right. So I'll ask it, okay, what is maybe a question around how to build a chatbot with Llama 2, right? Maybe that'll give us an interesting answer. So can you, how dubious of me to ask OpenAI about Llama 2, but okay. Uh, right. So it's kind of going through the sheet, it's looking through what's available, and then it's kind of giving a bunch of answers based on the sheet, right? And it also gives you the citations. So that kind of is giving analysis. It should give citations usually, but anyway. So it'll tell you, okay, where I'm picking up that information from, whatever, whatever. So this works at an individual level, and I feel like for an independent user, this works really well. But say if this document, like for the sake of kicks, we say that Neha just wants to keep this document open only to the AIEC members. So then we kind of look at how chatbots work for those kind of special core requirements. Now, many people have copilot builders. We are just one of the many, but I think what we've kind of like really cracked is to do it really quickly. So like Neha gave me these documents like an hour ago. I thought maybe this is an interesting idea, and it took me like all of 10 minutes to build a little ready bot that kind of answers questions from the sheets. So you start off with a very bare bones piece where it's like you can choose your language model, put in your specific prompt. I think all of us know how to do this in 2024. We don't need to be taught. And then, sorry, Neha, are you keeping time for me? I don't want to like. Uh,
Yeah, don't worry.
okay, so I have how much time? 15 minutes?
15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, super.
Long
And
time.
then this is where you kind of knowledge is basically your vector database. You can choose all the kinds of things like speech recognition and text to speech, all of that kind of like goodness is available. Um, so in this context, what I did was I took all of Neha's sheets, which is about six of them, and I just kind of put all of the sheets directly the Google Sheet links into our Copilot, which you can just do like I just copy pasted the links, nothing big. And in context of the enthusiast circle, I just made a little script that says, okay, you're a helper bot. Please share relevant links to community members' queries and make sure that the links, it's kind of relevant and don't hallucinate and all that kind of, and maybe like give a little cute emoji at the end of it or whatever. So Neha, because you know the sheets the best, maybe you have a like small question that you'd like to coax the co-pilot to answer, and let's see if it stands the test of.
uh, oh, you didn't test this before.
No, I did, but I knew the answers, like
Okay.
because I went through the sheet and I picked relevant ones. Yeah.
So if you look at the list of tools, a lot of people ask me about HR tools, as in if we want to hire people. Is there any AI tool that can help us hire someone?
AI tools for HR and hiring, recruiting. I don't know. I'm just gonna put all the words just to see how the semantics work out for us. Okay, yes. I don't know if the Moon Hub talk tune. Okay. Right. So now you can see that it's kind of listed some sources at the bottom, which are kind of going through the sheet and giving some data. And this link here will just like show you that particular relevant sheet. Um, and then I didn't ask for links. Maybe let's see. Do you think it'll throw up some links too? Can you share links? Let's see. It did for another piece that I tried earlier on before. Okay. Okay, cool. So it gave me links. Yes, thank God. Yeah, Anish. Anish is on on the engineering team at GUI, and I'm glad it's all working well. But now, so now you've got kind of a test bot ready. and you're kind of happy with the way it's answering. Maybe you want to add speech recognition, this, that, and the other. But primarily, what we felt is because our focus at GUI is for frontline workers and impacts sector in agriculture. We know that those spaces can be sometimes extremely deficit of developer teams, because obviously everyone is working at very low resources, and everything has to be kind of dependent on funding. We were like, if someone has a knowledge expert internally, why should it be difficult for them to build a chatbot even if they don't know how to code? So what we did is we set up an integrations kind of a tool, where you can integrate your like a little web app, or do a WhatsApp app or a Slack app or Facebook, and then others as well that we've been testing. Even we've even tested how you can do it on phone calls. So like you can have the entire AI workflow all on a phone call, which is really interesting because then you don't need the user to have any internet at their end. So works really well for us, and we are looking at rural contexts as well. So anyway, I've kind of already built one, so I don't want to redo this. So it's like a little simple, like OpenAI kind of interface. You just kind of add your little description. You can say you want audio messages on or not on, whatever, and then the entire bot is ready, and it's available as its own hosted little chatbot. So like if you guys ask questions here, it works just like a very simple chat GPT kind of bot. I'll just paste it in the chat, and you can ask questions around the AIEC resources that Neha has been so wonderfully and dedicatedly compiling over the last, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years. Yeah, two. Okay, two, I think.
1 year, 1 year.
Okay, okay, perfect. So, I mean, this is of course just a web app, but we also have very simple, like one-click WhatsApp integration. So, if you have got your own SIM card and you want to make your own WhatsApp chatbot, you can do that quite easily. And the very wonderful thing about adding Google Sheets, particularly that will have been really useful for me, is that whenever Neha updates this, the chatbot on its own gets updated, and pretty quickly. So that really makes a lot of difference. And then the other piece that's really interesting, which I haven't focused on here, is that you can actually directly put YouTube links. So I have an artistic chatbot which I did, or even let me just show the GUI support bot. Maybe that's a better option here. So we have a bunch of, like, say, guides, but we also do a lot of like YouTube videos around like how to use our apps and things. So you can just dump the YouTube link in the knowledge base, and it'll do the transcription on its own. It'll create the synthetic data on its own, and that's directly usable within your GUI, your whatever your chatbot integration ends up being. So we've done this for 1000 YouTube videos for like farmer extensions and our HVAC clients. Like, so basically we had a client, they were an HVAC technician service. So like in the US, they were like, okay, we have these technicians across the country, and they need all this information like right in the tip of their fingers when they're in the middle of repairing something. So like all of their technical manuals, all the diagrams that are very complicated for how AC circuitry is, all of them, we have this wonderful hosting setup with Azure, which does all this kind of photo intelligence, and it's able to read diagrams and also give you answers. So, but for you as someone who's implementing it as a product manager or as a business lead, or whatever other roles you might be in, um, you literally have to not even put a single piece of code here, all thanks to the wonderful work of Anish and the other engineers in the GUI team. So we've been able to like really push this envelope of like, you can go to testing today, like you don't have to sit and figure things out. And now imagine if you go back to this, and if you're in the more technical side in the conversation, if I have to integrate all of these, imagine the number of APIs I'm calling if I'm doing this internally for my team. So particularly with this team opportunity, they took three months to figure out one chatbot, and after they started using GUI, they have now implemented in the last 1 month almost 10 chatbots across Africa, like for various things, for like small businesses, microfinance, of course farming and so many other things. So it's very interesting, and how people are like implementing this on the fly without having even a single technical person on their team. And I think that seems to be like, for so many people, the end game of what AI, Gen AI, can offer the world, that you become a creator in whatever way that you want, whether that's through product making, or whether that's image making or video making, whatever. So that's kind of what we are really focused on. And in that context, let me just go through a little bit of the slides. In that context, we are like, okay, why just OpenAI? Why not Llama? Why not Mistral? Why not other people who are making? Can it retrieve video? Yes, it can. Okay, sorry, I'll answer those later. Sorry, I just kind of got excited. So we are looking at all private providers, all open source providers, and then the same goes for every single component of the Copilot, whether that's the vectorDB, so you can choose from various kind of embeddings services, whether it's speech recognition, translation, text to speech, or even getting images onto the chatbot. So yeah, we've been kind of looking at this as almost like an AI standard, like what that could mean. So like, as particularly in AIEC group, because so many of us are like learning about AI and like continuing in our within our current business processes. It's not like we have time to sit and make our own like little like thing happening right then and there. I think it's a very quick way to like kind of see what's possible with implementations around this. This chart is a bit overwhelming, but I have to show it. But like eventually, this is kind of what we're thinking. Like you can look at all these abstractions across one billing platform, one API key. You can look at getting all the synthetic data pieces. Um, we're also working quite extensively on how to use small like functions, like JavaScript functions, which the LLM can call as and when needed. So if it feels like the you say, for simple example, like you suddenly feel like the user is getting a bit stressed out, or you want to pull certain data from another API somewhere, like say I want to find out about growing brinjal in winter in Udaipur. And I can say, can I grow brinjal now? And it should be able to get my location and my weather, and then be able to kind of give me the answer based on the knowledge base that it's there. So it's basically contextualizing the RAG, not just keeping that. So it's basically now like another layer on top of your open exam. One was the first person who was like a rattu tota, like the person who will study by rote. The second is who can like really go through the book and understands what parts to get. And then there's this third layer, almost in that same anecdotal context, who also has external knowledge and is able to bring it back to that answer when they are giving you some response. So and that could be very much like, say somebody's asking you something which is very real time, and that's what the functions component can do. And of course, you have all this like wonderful kind of communication integrations we are doing. We are also doing dashboard analysis and all that kind of like enterprise stuff that's anyway needed. But where we're also now excelling, and I haven't focused here because this workshop didn't have that kind of thing to be done. But we are looking at how can you like constantly evaluate whether your copilot is working and where it's breaking. Is it the LLM which is breaking? Is it maybe the your speech to text? Is it your text to speech? Is it that it was just the internet and it's not your fault at all? Or maybe the database is not it's not getting figured out. Maybe you've got all the data correct, all the knowledge bases right, but the vector DB is kind of doing some like little bit here and there. So you've got a lot of evaluation tools now. And I think for us, we are distinguishing this evaluation from what you keep seeing all over the internet. Oh, we're evaluating like which LLM is working the best. But why is there no like evaluation in context of the use case? Maybe in a use case of like a customer service, Llama or whatever is doing great. But when it comes into another use case of, say, managing your internal trainings, or looking at, say, farmers, how we are, or any other kind of technical piece, maybe they are not going to work. So it's up to us to kind of like look at the evaluation in context of the business process, rather than trying to just go with whatever is the latest and greatest. Because in many of our business use cases with our clients, we found the latest and greatest sometimes is failing. So like suddenly, Facebook is coming and saying, oh, we've got this really good new MMS model, and then OpenAI says our OpenAI's new one model is doing really well and like is figuring things out. And then we do the test and we find that maybe the old model is still as good, or maybe the new model doesn't work for this context. So and it's all about like that cost benefit analysis as well. So, and then latency, all of those things we are able to now check. Okay, I'll just try to keep it on time. This is more for the people who are a little bit more technical. That on GUI, as I explained, we can do all of this pretty easily. But if you had to do this on your own with, say, LangChain or Llama Index, you'd have to figure out all of the steps, including like figuring out your GPU, buying the keys, having different kinds of dashboard setups, whatever, whatever, whatever. And here it's like paper message, and then that entire cost for you is almost like 12,000, which is kind of what obviously we bear, but we have so many clients that we're working with. So yeah, so this is kind of where we're at. I've also put in a glossary of terms so people who want to like have a quick look at that. And these are some of two of these are my own documents, but the second two are documents I referred to for this presentation. So if somebody wants to do a deep dive, I highly recommend. The third one is a video, and the fourth one is a very nice blog post, very detailed, has these wonderful diagrams, which one of them I've used as well. So if you want to like look at that, that's also there. Oops, this slide was not there, supposed to be there. Okay, sorry, I forgot a thank you slide, but this is where I'll say thank you and leave it to the questions.
Thank you so much, firstly.
Sorry, it was like I was like Vande Bharat speed, but okay.
No, but it's funny because it's the first time we've actually finished at the 45-minute mark ever in our workshops. So that's awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It was fast, but I think it was understandable. I like the fact that you've kept it easy to understand and easy for a non-technical person to be able to execute this into their company, right? Or into their workflows, which is primarily why we want to do this workshop. So I'm gonna let you get to the questions. Do you want me to read them out, or have you?
Oh, let me just. Okay, I
Kranti's is
think.
the latest question, guys. If you do have any questions, you can also raise your hand, and Ambika or I will pick you out, or you can put them in the chat group. So the first question is by Kranti about whether you can retrieve all the videos on a YouTube channel, or you have to enter them one at a time.
Um, can you retrieve all the questions on a given YouTube channel? Yeah. In fact, what I've done for GUI is that I just made a playlist and I just dumped the playlist. And then our internal synthetic data making tool kind of splits out the videos, and it does the transcription, makes an FAQ, and it kind of puts it in back into the vector database. I don't
That
know if that
that's
answers the question. Yeah.
That's pretty cool though, because I know that OpenAI and even like Notebook LM can't do playlists on YouTube. You
Oh,
have to do
that's strange
individual
because hey,
videos.
notebook LM though, like isn't like Google should be
Yeah,
able to, but okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
have to put one video at a time. So
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
thing.
Okay.
Okay, Kranti
Yeah.
said that answers your question. The next question is by Mary. What's the advantage of building a RAG copilot versus using Notebook LM?
Right. So I think both are RAG in a sense, but again, as I mentioned in the beginning, that the notebook LM seems to be more of like a business to customer kind of a scene, where individual people are using it, and Google is the kind of for at the forefront of that. Whereas what we are saying is that hey, you have excellent knowledge about your subject domain, and you want to share it with your specific demographic, uh, and then you are building a copilot which is focused on your knowledge, and you are able to like pass it across. So I mean, in a sense it's similar, but I feel like it's more like what GUI is doing is making it usable for you to build it for others, so you are the Google.
Hmm.
Like I mean, that's the easiest way I could explain it.
Mary, you can remove yourself from mute if you want to follow up anything. Um, okay, so no, so that's pretty cool because I think that's a big question with Notebook LM. I do find it quite limited in certain extents because even your documents can only be of a limited size. You can't upload like a very, very large document or something. I'm guessing GUI has not those kind of limits, or what kind of limits do you have? How much data can you upload to the knowledge base?
So, like the maximum that we've done is like maybe say 1,000 PDFs.
Wow.
Uh,
And page wise, like her page numbers?
no, I mean each will have like 100, 200, depending on the manual that it is.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
but I think it's like always a mix. Like A, the complexity of the document.
Okay.
Then B, like how heavy the document is. Because see,
Okay.
if it has more images, or maybe it's like a
Got
PDF
it.
which is unnecessarily bulky or whatever. So So for current scenarios, and I think in most other similar services, it will probably be like they'll say, okay, X GB is what you're allowed.
Got it. Got it.
So, but the complexity can change in context of like if it's got a lot of tables, if it has
Mm.
diagrams. So we
Mhm.
did a lot of work last year on diagrams, because how do you make sure that all of that data, the vector DB is able to like assimilate it, so that when
Got
the
it.
question is asked, which is very simple, like what is this part in the entire diagram?
Got
So
it.
how do you get that synthetic data to the point where it's able to give you that answer? Basically,
Wow.
that's so that like everything is kind of chunked in that sense. Okay.
Yeah. Gunsha's question is next. Are there other ways to test the output except acting as a user? Example, I test an app I built using test scenarios, check code quality, apart from end user testing. Is there a way to formally test such outputs when building it for an individual client?
Yes, we do have this tool. So basically, we have a bulk tool. I mean, I didn't focus on it, but I can send you more documentation around it. Basically, this was actually literally this, that I was the one testing it for clients. I was getting tired of like independently
Yeah.
doing send, and I didn't want to spend time, like building a little code piece, or maybe I didn't have time. So the wonderful engineers in my team, they built this thing called a bulk tool, where we put a huge sheet of questions that we
Okay.
know the users might ask, and
Mhm.
with it we key pair it with a set of answers that we know will be the most accurate answers, which a expert puts. And then we can do an entire set of LLM. I can, if we end up getting a little bit of time, which I'll show you on screen share, and
Sure.
then we do a evaluation on that. How well is it answering in context of the expert's answer? Like, how is it doing semantically? How is it answering the numbers? Are the code numbers coming correctly? Is it able to like figure out what the math is? All of that kind of stuff as well.
So
So
for
it's
that,
like
Ambika, like the expert answer has to be already prepared as well, not just the scenarios.
yeah, you can synthetize that answer as well. Like, you
Wow.
can do it, but I mean, it's always better if a real person answers, so that you're like comparing it to something real.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
Cool. So the next question is by Manasvi. How does vectorDB find the most relevant embedding for each query? Sorry if you covered that. I'm not in the text field.
Right. So basically, I think this is a bit more of like a Dhruv
Dhruv
Anand
question.
question.
Yes, I
Yeah.
will try and get Dhruv to do a workshop in the new year.
Yeah.
So about on focusing on vector DBs, but
Yeah.
if you want to just
Yeah.
do a quick.
So, but like, think about it like this, like, it's like, if I ask you, like, Manasvi, uh, tell me who is running the best AI community. You have a certain set of data in your mind, right? And you also may have like a sense ki who's asking the question. Is it a technical person, or is it someone who's non-technical? So so you kind of use your brain to search in that way through your database, right? And then you summarize an answer. So the vector DB search is supposed to do that. So there's a lot of work around this, because to get that semantic similarity can be very like granular, and sometimes it works really well with, say, I put the whole of Tolkien's document, like whatever, all his novels, and it does it really well. But I put a bunch of tables, like as simple as the AI tools table that Neha has made, and it flops. So that's why like Dhruv is like building an entire business around this, because it's a big problem that everyone is trying to solve, to ensure that search is good enough for the LLM to summarize well. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So the next question is by Mira. How do RAG copilots ensure data document privacy? We do seem to be picking large language models like GPT-4.
Right. Okay. So I think there are many layers to this, but primarily because we are an enterprise and we have a tie-up with OpenAI to give the API to others. We have a privacy clause with them, that they don't use the documentation. And then at our end, what we've also done is that in our API calls, you can just say that don't keep my data. But it could have, and then now we are also working on PII, because most of the people we work with are from the impact sector, and impact sector people are much more concerned about PII. Even day before yesterday, I had a workshop with field workers who don't even speak English, and all of them said we don't want to sign up to all of your tools
Of
because
course.
PII is a big thing for them. So like really, even to the grassroots level, for them PII is a big thing. So it's like you have to kind of just make sure the whatever is your pipeline can offer you those solutions. So which we are working on, I think.
I think privacy is just a major issue with everyone, anyways, right?
Yeah,
Because that's why we try to host our own on our own systems or something like that.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
can you do a local installation of GUI? Like, can you have it hosted?
Currently, everything is open source, but I
Okay.
feel it's like to build a. It's like to if you want to like build something very complex, it's like I mean this is it's kind of it's a very very big octopus of things because it's got databases, you're
Yeah,
running
yeah.
GPU, you're doing this that the other. So like you then have to have a team who
To
can
oversee.
build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything we do is open source. We just we've kept it that way since the beginning. I think it's mainly because of our impact work,
Hmm.
which sometimes expects open source as a strategy.
Yeah, so that you can show that you guys are as honest and
Exactly.
transparent about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's not like open source in the way like how LangChain or Llama Index, where they're actively like their GitHub is like actively getting contributors and whatever, all that.
You
So
try to
yeah,
get there for GUI as well.
yeah, maybe hopefully some of you are interested. So let me know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other question, guys? Because we're running out of time. So if you all want to ask anything, I think no. I think that's a comment from Guncha. Any other questions? You want to raise your hands? No. Have you had? Okay. Oh wow! Wow, great. So no one has any questions. That means you did really well. I told you you'll be fine, Ambika. So no, this is awesome. I will definitely share all of what Ambika has shown us with you guys. And I'm not sure. I mean, Ambika is on our AIEC community, so you can always get in touch with her through there, or you can just ask the community questions as well. Honestly, we can help you there with vectorDB questions and send you more resources for that. So I have already shared the link in case you haven't joined. I will put that link there again in case you are interested in joining. It's for women only before you share it with anyone else. I do want to thank you all for attending. After work, I'm sure everyone's tired and everything and hungry now after this nice workout session. So I really appreciate you all joining, and thank you, of course, Ambika, for doing this for us. It was really, really informative, and I have lots more things to discuss with you after this. So I will definitely ping you on that. So
Amazing.
anything
Thanks everyone for joining. I know it's like Thursday and many of you were in traffic and I don't have to commute, so I appreciate that you still joined.
Yes, that's very nice of you guys. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Should I
you.
log off?
Yeah, I don't know if there was someone else who you want to show something to. You said after.
Yeah, put it in the chat for
Oh,
Guncha.
okay, you did.
Yeah, yeah,
Guncha, yeah, she wanted to see the bulk thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
Neha.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night. Bye.